sorts of, do you have like a coming to New York experience? What was, I mean, not the crazy stuff, right? But if you like, if it doesn't go dark, it's almost like a sitcom, sort of, oh, roommates, you know, that codependence and sort of oddness. Was that writing personal in any way?
Yeah, well, it was personal in both ways. The reason I wrote the film is that within the span of about a year, I had 2 experiences with people very close to me getting into codependent relationships with people with borderline personality disorder, which is what Lana has, even though it's never said. And I just thought it was such an amazing way into mental illness in a film, because in most films about mental illness, you see the character and up front you're given the information that they're sick, and therefore you judge all of their actions like, oh, that person's sick, that doesn't have that much to do with me. But with borderline personality disorder, they're very functional and seem totally normal a lot of the time, certainly in the early stages of the illness. And so it just seemed like what? And in life, you don't meet someone and they don't have like, I'm 6 tattooed on their forehead. You just meet them and you assume that they're operating under logical parameters. And then, so it's very easy to fall down the rabbit hole with them. And I just thought, like, what if you could do that in a film? Like, what if you just met someone and you just had to judge them based on their actions and you didn't know? I thought that was a really interesting way into mental illness.
Bravo.
I mean, the thing is, like everything she does makes so much sense to her. And it kind of makes sense in like...
She rationalizes it.
Yeah, and like in certain parameters, everything she does is totally logical. It's only if you pull back and go like, you know, but it's funny, we were talking, like, because everything makes so much sense to her, and therefore when I was playing her, it had to make sense to me. Like, when I'm watching people watch the film, and I don't know if it happened today, but during the birthday party scene where she's like, and then Jeff and I started sleeping together, almost every time people laugh at that, out of like sheer uncomfortability, and I get so enraged. Like, I just have this moment of like, why are you laughing? But it makes so much sense. And then but yeah.
I wonder, like, as the directing that sort of script, I think that like that birthday party scene is a great example of a tightrope of tone that this whole movie goes through, and I wonder how difficult it was writing and then shooting and keeping those moments where it's like someone grabs your stomach in a way. Like, I understand about the laughter, but I'm saying Jesus Christ right now. Directing, I mean, just tone-wise, how did that go?
The one word that I always use to describe this film and the story is delicate. So delicate. I mean, even with the music, it's like if we push too hard, it screamed and it went like this. But if you didn't give it enough, then you're kind of like, It was always such a fine line between, are we pushing too hard, or we need to push a little bit more, but not too much. And it was such the whole process, from like workshopping the script before we shot to filming it, to then especially in the editing room. I mean, that was when, we would go, the editor and I would go through take after take after take after take. It was just the very subtle nuances really made such a big difference in this film.
And like, particularly the music, because at one point there was a piece of music earlier on that gave the whole thing away. Somehow this one piece of music in this one place, and you knew, and it was too early and the whole film fell over. So yeah, I mean, and that's why there were 52 drafts of the script. It's like, if it falls off that tightrope, you're done.
The budget was about $80,000. Which includes pre-production, production, post-production, and marketing up to the point where now the distributor is taking over those costs, which is very little for a feature independent film. About 40% of that was crowdfunded through 2 crowdfunding campaigns, and the rest was investors, private investors. Yeah, was that all your question? Okay.
they got their money's worth, I have to say. One of the elements too is very strong cinematography and editing, and congratulations on that. I think that's well chosen department heads for those. The audience in the yes.
Have you, since you started showing the film, have you had any people approach you about mental illness and like what their reactions might have been seeing the film?
Yeah, we actually have. We've done a significant amount of outreach to mental health communities and groups through the festival process so far, and they've actually sent quite a lot of people to the screenings. People with borderline personality disorder, parents of people with borderline personality disorder, people with other mental illnesses, and it's been very amazing. The first screening we had was in Austin, and I was so nervous. I had to keep leaving the room in the middle of the screening because I thought I was going to die, because I had no idea what they were going to feel about it, because I knew it was a huge amount of the audience was from the mental health community, so I was very nervous. And at the end, the first thing that happened in the Q&A was this man stood up and he said, I'm the father of somebody with borderline personality disorder, and I've never seen this portrayed fairly on screen. He said it's always villainized or sensationalized, and he said, that is my daughter, and I feel less alone now. Which I started crying, he was crying. And we've had that reaction a lot. And what's interesting to me is I think it's not strictly people who have had experiences with borderline, because I think a lot of us can relate to either Lana or Kate or both. And I've just had a lot of people come up and say, like, either I felt like in my life I've spent so much time trying to be what other people needed me to be, even though I don't have BPD, or, so that's been really amazing.
Yes, down here.
Yes. Have you thought about doing the story on stage?
Well, I worked on it for about a year as a play before I wrote it as a screenplay, and I couldn't get it to work. And I'm sure a more talented playwright than I am could, but I just found that you needed a level of control over the audience's perception of what was happening at every point during the script that is very hard to get in theater. Because you needed to know that she was picking up the knife, and what if they were looking at the dog in the corner at that time on the stage, film gives you a level of subtlety and control that felt really necessary for the story, and the play got very experimental, and I couldn't get it to work, and so, I don't know. For me, it just works better as a film.
Thank you. Yes, Ned.
What happened to Natasha? I kept waiting for that.
What happened to Natasha?
God only knows. I don't know. That's both her abrupt disappearance and Masi's abrupt disappearance is sort of supposed to help you. One of the things about people with BPD is they tend to idolize people, and then as soon as that person makes one mistake, they just shut them off and totally close, and actually the same thing she does with her mother, sort of deny their existence. And so Natasha and then Masi was sort of, their abrupt disappearance from the film was supposed to sort of help you understand that, it's idolization and then just done.
It also is an interesting part. Something we spoke about earlier is the fact that you streamline the story as you not only in the script writing phase, but also perhaps in the editing phase. So you wanted to talk a little bit about that as well.
Yeah. So because Meredith and I had spent about 2 years talking about the script by the time we actually shot it, I was really able to just totally turn my writer brain off on set and just trust that she was going to tell my story, which she absolutely did. A beautiful job doing, and stuck word for word basically to the script. And then in the editing room, Chris pieced together an assembly, just line for line of the script. And for the most part it worked, but we realized that there was just a little too much padding. So there were maybe 6 or 7 just really small little scenes involving extra characters that all got cut from the film, which totally broke my heart as an actor, because there were only 8 actors that made it into the final film, and there were about 8 more who acted in the film but then got cut out of these scenes. And one of them is Lion Hamill. Are you still here, Lion? He left. No, he's here. Oh, good. So Lion Hamill auditioned for and won this little part in the beginning of the film and came to New York and shot it. I was so excited and so happy that he did, and then his scene got cut. And it was so necessary for the film, but I felt so terrible. There were little scenes, and we just realized that anything that detracted from just the main story was padding.
That's one of the toughest aspects of the whole process of making a movie, is that winnowing down and paring away scenes and characters that particularly.
Thank you so much for coming.
I want to introduce myself and congratulate you.
Thank you.
Exciting. Just talking to your dad.
Oh yeah.
I'm Martha Rose.